Play to Earn show with Stefano and Mr. Gonzo. How are you, fellas?
What's up? What's up?
Good.
Oh, God, I forgot to turn my blue light on. How terrible. So Mr. Gonzo is just going to tweet out to our community. We're using some new software, and unfortunately it doesn't notify anyone. So we're just going to sort of trundle along for a couple of minutes here, waiting for everyone to arrive. So what should we talk about, Stefano? You're selling all your ETH to buy ADA, I'm hearing.
Of course. Yeah. I already started, of course. Not only if I would say everything, Bitcoin and everything.
All in on ADA. We're just killing time here, by the way, for anyone that is watching this. You're an Ethereum maximist, putting it mildly.
No, I'm not. I'm really not.
No?
I'm just someone that kind of like analyze the facts and the data and the numbers. And Ethereum right now is what I like and what I think has the highest chance of evolving to something amazing, and it's so far the best protocol out there in my opinion. But doesn't mean that I'm a maxi, you know.
You've certainly taught me a lot about Ethereum over the last year. I came into the crypto space in 2016, and Tone Vase convinced me that Ethereum was a complete scam. I think it was 10 cents at the time. So as much of a mate as he is, that one still hurts. I've got a few ADA from friends of mine that are trying to say the same thing about ADA to me at the moment. But there you go. There you go. Do your own research, people. Make your own decisions. But this show is all about play to earn. We're going to be looking, we've got Mr. Gonzo here to give us an update on what's happening in Axie land. But I think we had some pretty big news out of 9 Chronicles. So, Stefano, if you can maybe kick the show off and tell us what is the latest.
Sure. Well, they changed everything, actually. They really did. So as you know, if you've been watching some of the past videos, or if you've been playing the game, you will know that the network has been like a little bit unstable. And the reason why it's being unstable is because of miners basically pushing empty transactions to gather the reward that is generating like in every single block. This obviously like has caused quite a lot of problems, and the team has launched a public vote. So very, very happy about that decision of, you know, this is not a government tokens, but you don't need a government token to actually ask the community what they prefer. So, you know, just pointing that out for other projects, maybe thinking about listening to their communities. And so they voted. Basically, like what happened is that now they are going to change quite a lot in the mining structure. So what is going to happen is that, like, one, only whitelisted addresses and therefore whitelisted miners will be able to mine moving forward. And so in order to be whitelisted, you need, for example, to be active, or at least like to be part of the Discord server for at least a month. Or another possible requirement is that you need to have at least 9,500 9 Chronicles gold stake into your monster collection. If you don't know how much is like 9,500, it's basically like 3 monsters of the monster collection. Also, another possible option that they've mentioned is the fact of having a level, I think, 180 or 150 with your character. Not really sure which one of the two numbers was it. Let's say 180, just like for the sake of like raising the bar. But so one of these 3 requirements needs to be met. So if you're a simple miner and you have no interest in the game whatsoever, or you have no interest in the community whatsoever, sorry, you're not going to be able to mine anymore. Another change that I've done is that from now on, rewards are being issued only and exclusively to blocks that have at least 1 AP inside. The AP is basically like what you are spending when you're doing transactions, or like whatever type of execution when you're calling the blockchain. This could be, for example, starting a level, starting a match in arena, forging something, selling an item, and so on. Basically, it's super simple. If you have a block that is empty, you're not going to get a reward anymore. The other thing that is very, very huge on what they're actually proposing here and what is going to happen moving forward is the actual reward per block. With this decision of basically changing the miners, and so going with a whitelisted system, they are going to decrease the earning or the reward per block by basically 5 times. So if you're having like that 100 out of the pool, only 20% of that original amount will be given to the miner. So now the question is like, what happens to the other 80%? And once again, decision by the community. 40% of that 100 will be burned, completely destroyed, out of circulation, no more, bye-bye, decreased supply. The other 40% will be actually stored in the treasury and will be used for the play to earn season and activities, which means that now if you don't have a machine that is powerful enough to actually mine, it's totally okay, because you're going to be able to earn some of those rewards from the POW part by simply position yourself in a good level, in a good like elo point on the season in arena. This obviously like should do what? Should, number one, push a better activities from the players, a more higher research on better equipment, and therefore like more transactions happening in the marketplace. The marketplace is currently taking 8% of the fees, and those are going into the treasury as well. So in this specific case, it basically shows exactly what the team is trying to accomplish over here. We're basically looking for something where the play to earn mechanics comes from like the usability and the usage of the ecosystem per se. The more the ecosystem is being used, the bigger the pot will be every single season. So the more the game grows, the more rewards there are going to be, and therefore, in theory, the more players should be able to actually receive an income from there. But yeah, quite a massive change in the structure. This changed quite a lot of things. Spoiler alert, however, all of this is going to last for 6 months, 8 months, well, basically like as long as POS is not in place, which we all know that that's eventually going to happen. And at that point, once POS is in place, you will basically be a validator. The same thing that we've seen on Ethereum, where you need 32 ETH to be a validator. Here, we don't really know the value yet, but if you are accumulating 9 Chronicles gold, potentially you're going to be able to use that at a later stage to become a validator into the POS mechanics. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, and the latest on the bridge.
Well, the bridge, they have announced that it's still undergoing. So they have done again the right thing on at least like updating and letting people know of the situation, because they gave an initial timeline and they actually follow up with that instead of like keeping everybody in the dark. However, we're actually still in the dark because we don't have the date on the bridge. What I can say is that like luckily 9 Chronicles is a full open source project, and therefore the code is public as well. So I've done a little bit of like personal digging into the GitHub, and I can say that the last update was actually done on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, so 2 days ago. And the latest thing that I've had is actually a transaction fee. So it seems to like when you're going to be able to use the bridge, there is going to be, at the moment, it seems to be a 1% fee. So of that amount that you're of 9 Chronicles gold that you're trying to bridge, or that you're going to bridge into Ethereum and in wrap 9 Chronicles gold, 1% will basically be taken by the planetarium, or like by 9 Chronicles ecosystem, and most likely that is going to be put into the treasury, as well as increasing the pool for the play to earn rewards. Now that is obviously in the code, so they might be able to change that, putting 0 at the beginning, putting that 50%, or whatever they decide to do on that. But it's nice to see that at least like they're still doing some push. Unfortunately, that has nothing to do with the security part and the auditing that actually like they should work on. Adding a fee doesn't really solve the issue on that side. So right now we just know that they're still working on that, and that's pretty much the thing.
Okay, just quickly, look, it's becoming pretty standard now, people. There is somebody impersonating hard forking. So, look, you all know, never are we ever going to ask anyone or put out these stupid offers that the scammer is doing. I just want to leave it there. I've reported it to Facebook. We're bringing in
because you're here in Sean, but you're watching me. Meanwhile, by the way.
Oh, there you go, ventriloquist. I'm back. Still figuring out the software. Yeah, so I won't repeat that. But look, I can see you guys chatting about it. I'm doing my best. I spent hours deleting those comments and so forth. But once again, we ain't going to put offers like that out there. They'll always be in the Discord. That's up a thing anyway, people. Excellent. Thanks for that update, Stefano. Obviously, I know all the people that are waiting patiently for the prizes that have been won, but Stefano's been updating that group on the Discord there as well. So check out that group for those winners. Mr. Gonzo, Axie, what's going on? Saw there was a tweet yesterday from Axie Infinity about the situation in the Philippines. Before we go into this, people, we're not tax advisors, we're not financial advisors. Anything we say here is just opinion. Mr.
Sean,
Gonzo.
I wanted to ask, I don't know, talk about Nine Chronicles a bit more about.
Okay, apologies. Yep.
Because that's some pretty drastic news, and there's a lot of information in there, right? So what do you think is going to happen with the miners, Stefano? There's going to be more miners or less miners? It seems like way less, right? It seems like they're all going to drop off. Is that going to affect the security of the system?
No, I mean they're not going to drop off, that's for sure. But I think that what is going to happen is that
1/5 of rewards and more requirements.
I think it's okay. I think it's fine actually, because like you're losing basically like the big miners. You're losing the people that were like running maybe 100 machines or things like that. You're losing people that were clearly abusing the system and getting like the vast majority of the things for themselves. That was already an issue that they had, and now it's basically like saying that the code is being already adjusted. Like if you're for whatever reason gaining more than 50% of the blocks in a day, you're basically like shutting down automatically at that point. So they were already in a situation where there was a little bit of a difference in terms of like power on the POW. I think that overall it's a good move. We will for sure see a decrease in number of miners, but I also think that by seeing a decrease in the number of miners, we have an overall decrease in the difficulties, which means that perhaps some of the people that were not able to mine before might actually now be able to like gather something. And yes, it's true. It's a huge cut. 20% out of like the entire pot is a massive one. But we also need to think about like the fact that the value is 30 times higher compared to what it was like a month ago. So I don't know. I think that overall, like if you're a gamer, like if you're playing the game and you know turning that on is fairly easy. Just like you click the on when you have the launcher in place. Does that really affect you now, knowing that like you can earn something, or basically is nothing as before? You know, I see only upside and downside to people that were abusing the system at the moment. Security-wise, yes, this could be a problem, but the algorithm is not open to the Axie miner. So, you know, if you have like a mine that like will go with Bitcoin and something like that, it would not work because the system is now becoming a little bit closed because you need to be whitelisted. So if you're trying to attack that, you're still not going to be able to like verify transactions, or you're still not going to be able to interact with that blockchain. So I think that it gives a little bit of a centralized aspects. That's 100% true. It's a little bit similar to the XDAI structure. So where you have like that group of validators that has been like approved, that pool that is being approved. So it's not totally open and 100% available to anybody that wants to. But then again, it's a fix to basically making a decision to ensure that people can play the game in preparation of the POS. Look, people are getting pissed, no doubt on that. People that were making thousands and thousands of dollars per day by doing that are absolutely insanely mad. And it makes sense, you know, if you're making like $10,000, $50,000, $30,000 a month, and someone all of a sudden does this and takes that away from you, of course you're gonna be mad. But on the other side, you know,
those are the same guys that are gonna dump like hundreds of thousands of coins on the system when the bridge is open. I like it. I think it's good. It's a good like you know, stopgap to help decentralize the mining a bit before they switch to proof of stake and get people weaned off of it, you know. So it seems like it's a good move. You know, like you said, it's a bit centralized, but at least, you know, you're going to get those like super industrial miners out of the way who will affect the price really negatively. But I think it will be some short-term pain because now those guys are going to be even more pissed, and they're definitely going to dump once the bridge opens.
Look, I was talking with Sean about that, and I think that it comes down to like how much do you need the money. But I think that really the point, because if you don't really need the money and you're a whale because you're being like abusing the system and you're sitting on like 50% of the daily rewards, and this change is pissing you off and you want to go after them, yes, you're gonna go and take that personal. You don't care about the economical return in that
Max gas.
It would be a dumb business move. I mean, any good trader sells into strength. So
for sure.
You know, but we
Miners
don't know
usually
the
aren't
personality
traders.
of some of these whales. And as you say, if it is the case, if somebody's just gone psycho and
it's an ego. It's an ego play. Are we looking at the logical things, and so the economical return, and then it's one thing? Or are we looking at the pure ego aspects on that? And, you know, I can relate actually on the ego play. You know, when you're in a position where like you really don't care, you can't be bought off, or like you don't really care of like getting more dollars in your bank account because you don't care about simply about that. And, you know, the simple fact of being right or going after someone is actually more important to you. I can see that happening, to be honest. I wouldn't exclude that completely. But I agree with both what you're saying. I think that short term, this is a big, massive question mark. And I totally agree with you, Sean, that economically speaking, it's super stupid. But this is
in a super hot NFT gaming market, would you really want to do that at this point? Let's see. We don't know.
I don't know. Are we at the peak? Are we entering a bear market soon? You know, like there are a lot of possible options on that to decide.
Sean, you said that, you know, like miners are not traders. They don't have the same mentality, right? Like they do not have that same.
Well, it was ultimately a trade to
Sean.
enter that space in the first place. So
yeah, but more mining is about steady income, right?
Yeah,
it's not about you know, they buy and sell the tops, but when you have an opportunity like this with the bridge, and there's these like drastic changes, I mean, they don't care if it's up or down. They're just going to be like, done. I don't know. That's. I mean,
you know, Stefano and I we were discussing this. We were discussing this at length. The other, you know, thing that we were talking about is, you know, what are the chances this game's going to grow? What do we think of this team? You know, is this a winner? Is this a horse to back? I mean, maybe if you want to reiterate some of that conversation we had, Stefano, what you really do like about this and its long-term prospects. To me, that's really the key thing to be thinking about.
Look, they have been doing a pre-sale a year ago. A year ago, Ethereum was what, $400. People were still talking about like bear entering into the bull, and we were starting seeing like DeFi summer in that period. So, you know, they went like on play to earn on that movements on the play to earn and so on, when nobody else was actually doing that. Because yes, you had like games like Zrun, you got games like Axie, but again, you were making like $1 a day by doing those type of things back in those times. A forest land a year ago was costing you like 0.2 ETH. You know, we're nowhere in values that we're seeing now. And not only they did a pre-sale, but they actually did a pre-sale with a beta already available to play. There wasn't like, we're taking the money and we're developing. There was this is the game. If you like it and you want to support us, this is the pre-sale to do that. And it's a very, very different approach on things. And I always preferred those type of models. That's why I support a lot the guys behind Satoshi's game. So the people that are like pushing, publishing Light Night or Setvival and so on. Yes, they're games that are full of bugs. They're very far from being fully polished and everything, but at least you're paying or you're supporting and you can actually play. You're not having your little NFT that you're looking at that and staring at that, and eventually, like in 1 or 2 years, you're going to be able to do something with that, maybe, eventually. So that simple approach, combined to the fact that they're super nerd around like the open source concept, the decentralization aspects on that, the team is really rock solid on values that are important, at least for me. They're really trying to do something that it's very unique, might be too early, Let's be honest on this. That's also very, very true. A lot of people don't actually care about all the features that are in Nine Chronicles. The fact that it's fully distributed, the fact that it's fully decentralized, the fact that nothing is owned, the fact that even the attacks that you have in the game are recorded in the blockchain. Tons of people are like, yeah, so what? Who cares? Where is my money? So it's a little bit of a different thing. But to me, at least, everything that I've done so far, the way that they're even approaching problems, they wanted to ask the community, they wanted to deal with the community on every single problem. The completely understanding of having to not waiting for a government's token or a DAO on Aragon or Colony to be up and running, to make decision with the community. All of these things, I think that overall shows that this team is super legit what they're trying to do, and they're really delivering on what is their vision and their mission of a decentralized game. Then it opens up on a completely different point, which is the opinion. Do you like the genre? Do you like the design? Do you like the type of game that they're developing? Are these type of features important for you? Those are personal opinion, obviously. You might like it or not. But the team so far has been outstanding in delivering, to be honest.
Well, that kind of, that's the important thing in any investment, isn't it? To really understand the team behind it. Is a good tokenomics. Okay, we've addressed the issues with the mining. They're addressing that now. Let's see what the adoption is like. I mean, obviously, from our community, we understand many of you can't play at the moment without a PC. Just remind the community, what do we know roughly the time frame on that mobile application?
One thing at a time. 2 years, I hear you saying. I might lose all my hair by the time that we have a move. I don't know. They say eventually end of the year. I call bullshit on that one, to be honest. I think that they have bigger problems right now to solve. The minor thing, the POS, the season 0, the play to earn. There is so much more before that needs to go there. I would actually call it mobile end of next year, end of 2020. 2022, sorry.
Look, I mean, I'd go as far as to say you're probably one of the more knowledgeable guys in blockchain overall, but absolutely in the gaming space. I mean, you put Axie in front of me personally well over a year ago. You've made some great calls. Where would you rate Nine Chronicles overall as far as gameplay, tokenomics, just the whole package compared to? We're just seeing a raft of new games come onto the market now, and you said before, a lot of them are a trailer that you're investing in. It's pretty easy to make a trailer look good. I was watching one from Star Atlas earlier today. These things are going to come thick and fast. So where are you putting Nine Chronicles in the overall sort of hierarchy? I mean, obviously Axie is sort of an undisputed number one and play to earn at the moment. Where would you rate Nine Chronicles?
Number 2.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the news that you just talked about, with the more play to earn aspects and the transactions off the bridge, building up that community play to earn pot, that shows that they're going in the right direction. It might not be enabled yet, but that's just foundational groundwork stuff. That's if you're in now and you keep building your character, you're gonna be fucking laughing in 6 months. You don't even have to mine. You can just go in and play the game, right? The one thing that I think Nine Chronicles, the genre, you're talking about taste and genre, right? I think that's one thing that kind of it's going to lose a lot of mass adoption from, because it's not necessarily the mass appeal of Axie. Kids, adults, old people, oh, it's cute. They get it, it's the role-playing game and the cat stuff, and the general genre is has a less broader appeal, I think. But definitely play to earn potential. Nine Chronicles is way up there right now.
No, I agree. I think that it's very nerdy as a genre, and I think that the perfect explanation of Nine Chronicles is it will be an eternal second place. It will never. Yeah. I don't see the Nine Chronicles will ever be a first. But the reason why, and this is not a bad thing from my point of view, is because when we're taking that genre and turning from is less fun because it's out of play, we can actually turn that into an advantage if you're looking at the play to earn mechanics on that. Yeah, because when you're on Axie, or when you're on Light Knight, Lost Relic, God Unchained, Auto God, you name it, Blancos, and so on. You need to actually pay attention on what you're doing. You cannot do two things at the same time, or at least like if you're very good, congratulations, I'm mentally not capable of doing that. But with 9 Chronicles, whatever other game I'm playing, I can actually pair 9 Chronicles there. And so I'm basically doing double earning instead of one, because the game 9 Chronicles is out of play. So my level of like time spent there of strategy is actually fairly easy. So gaming wise, I agree. But if you're looking at like what is happening with Axie, majority of the mass adoption of Axie is coming from people that actually need the earnings more than like the gaming part of that. That's why Axie is like super popular on that front. Here, you know, I think that this can play pretty much in the similar way, because it adds that extra layer of more income that can come in place, and it doesn't take out from what you're already earning from another game that you're playing.
What's better than play to earn? Passive play to earn. So now, you know, you got your active play to earn and your passive play to earn.
Yeah.
Same as trading.
Other
revenue stream.
That sort of passive play to earn. What's the what is that landscape in NFT gaming at the moment? How many other options, or how many other games are doing that, like 9 Chronicles?
Vast majority of what I'm seeing is scam, to be honest. Like
BCUG is doing that, right? BCUG has the same model where you just click the buttons, make decisions, you go back every once in a while. It's not like you need to do hours and hours of like, right?
No, it's true. You got like Alien World, you got Neon District. Like there are a lot of games. Crypto Blades is another one that actually followed that strategy. But I don't know. I don't like them. Like, I'm sorry. And like, I love the team behind Neon District. I think that they're like some of the best people in the space, like super with good intention. The story of the founder is absolutely amazing. Like, but I don't click in the game. I don't know. It's really personal. And that's the subject of the matter. Like play to earn, you know, you also need to have your own flavor. You need to have your own taste. It doesn't mean that because like every single game will have play to earn mechanics that automatically you need to play everything. Eventually, you also need to play something that you like. And if I'm looking at like the auto play or like the passive play models, I don't want to have to go back on a screen every 5 minutes. Like it stressed me out. I'm not having fun. It's actually more giving me more anxiety than actually happiness. Because, you know, with 9 Chronicles, I can have a session of 6 hours where I'm just like looking at my character, and eventually if I start losing, I can just like tweak things up whenever I feel like doing that. But the fact that I need to like decide my miners, my cards, and then like waiting for 5 or 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes I need to go back, and every time that I'm doing these things, I'm earning like this fractional of the sand. And then I'm in economy of scales. I need to start thinking of like, okay, if I do this like 100 times in a day, then I'm gonna make $4. And so now I'm starting missing things out. And so now it's $3. And eventually I just get tired and frustrating, and I don't play those things anymore. So I don't think that we're there yet, to be honest.
Martin in the comments says Neon is similar but terrible actual gameplay, and I'm a gamer. Funny.
Well, there was a similar comment about Axie there. You know, some people in the chat are saying, okay, they probably wouldn't play it if it wasn't play to earn, if they weren't making an income from it. What are your thoughts, guys? I mean, obviously the war chest, the treasure chest, whatever you want to call it, that Sky Mavis has made a fortune. Surely when you've got that much money, you know, being able to stay ahead of the pack and really develop should be fairly straightforward. Any thoughts on that, Mr. Gonzo? How do you think, for you personally, how do you see that game evolving?
Yeah, I mean, Santiago here on the YouTube chat, he was saying like, you know, don't you think the game is going to change? And it's like, yeah, of course it is, because we already know that. Land play is coming. Battles V2 is coming. There's also, you know, I've heard rumors of little mini games, right? So there's all kinds of stuff coming forward. This is like, seriously, it's still alpha, right? So they're building the world. You know, they've done similar to what, you know, Decentraland has done in building the metaverse, but they started with one game and like tweaking and perfecting that game and the play to earn mechanics with that. And now the land play is under development. Once that comes out, it's going to create a whole bunch of new opportunities, I think, for play to earn. You know, like collecting resources, stones and wood, and crafting, combining Axies and materials to make better players and better in PvE. You'll be able to go to dungeons, right? Get rewards from that. So, of course, it's changing. Totally, it's going to change. But it's not like they just thought about this, last month when the price action went up. They've been planning this for years already. So, we have to zoom out a little bit here. When we look at the technology and what's happening, right? Like, look at cell phones. Late 80s, early 90s, they had the big brick phones, right? It was like a freak in Wall Street, he had it, Michael Douglas. But then in that span of 30 years now, look how many iterations of phones there's been now, right? Now, digital phones, they're commonplace, the smartphone, it's taken 30 years. There's been like 20 iterations of the phone and the technology, right? Similar with the internet, cell phone, internet, those are brand new technologies that didn't exist before, right? And those technologies have taken 20, 30 years to adopt, right? So Axie, first mover, maybe it is Netscape, right? Or, what was the first one? But looking at the data now, we're not even seeing anything relatively even close to take that mantle up, right? So there's still a long, long runway, I think, here. And just seeing the news that's coming out, having the government feeling like obligated to make statements about taxes, like that's pretty substantial, like imagine any country, they're like, hey, there's this video game, right? Like what are we talking about here? This is getting crazy. I see the long way is really long here, and we're so.
I mean, look, you're talking about how technology advances rapidly. I was very much at the rollout of the internet with the company I had back then, and it just astounded me. I'm seeing the same thing in blockchain. Difference with blockchain is it's moving at a much quicker pace than the rollout of the internet. Where do you see play to earn in a year's time, Stefano? How will it look different to its current incarnation?
So let me try to answer by tagging on what Jordan was saying. You're looking at like Axie, and the conversation was obviously like about like Axie will evolve per se and so on. But keep in mind that Axie is coming from CryptoKitties. Like it's an evolution of that. It's basically like, the founders always say that. If you're looking at CryptoKitties and what you could have done in the game as CryptoKitties, there are videos of a year ago of me saying that CryptoKitties is generally very boring, like that I don't like that or I don't enjoy that. Axie takes that concept of breathing and give an extra utility, which is also like you're fighting that. It's an evolution. And, from there, now we're starting seeing that like there is going to be a new evolution, which is like the land, extra resources, creating like that ecosystem and so on. I think that eventually what we're going to start seeing in the play to earn space, if we don't blow the potato in our head, which unfortunately is something that I'm afraid of, could potentially happen. But if we keep seeing like this development, I think that what we're going to start seeing is like a way better development in terms of like genre and games and quality and design and gameplays and all of those things. I think that eventually, if we're looking at like what happens on the traditional gaming industry, browsers games, like things like Crypto Blades or Neon District or Alien World, like those type of games were already a thing back in the days, and they were boring, yes, but I remember when I was in high school that there was this game called like O Game or something like that it was like with the starships and so on, which was pretty much like the same thing. And then you start evolving that, and right now you would never consider to actually play a game like that, because you got free to play, you got like freemium, you got like all of these type of different traditional games. In cryptos, it's basically the same thing that is happening. We're starting from the beginning. We're seeing a lot of games that like are not very good, that eventually are going to disappear, or they need to evolve in order to survive, is one of the two things, or the user base will start disappearing, and more games are going to start looking way more similar to the platform games, the PC games, the console games, and so on. And is this like going to happen this year? No, absolutely not. We are at 4 months, by the end of 2021. I don't think that we're going to be there. Is this going to happen next year? Well, next year, eventually, we're going to see like Ember Zord. We're going to see Miranda's. We're going to see Guild of Guardians. We're going to see like all of these games that are starting being like kind of similar to like a possible AAA or a good indie title from that side. From there, if the community stick around with the right values, I think that eventually is a natural evolution. And so in a couple of years, maybe more than a couple, let's say 5 or something like that, I think that eventually play to earn will be the same definition of any other game. I don't think that it's going to be crazy for you to buy a PlayStation game or a Nintendo Switch game that actually owns some play to earn mechanics or some NFTs mechanics or some sort of blockchain things inside. But this is like a evolution that will take time. Obviously, we're really just getting started on this.
Ready Player One. Any thoughts on what Stefano's had to say there, Mr. Gonza?
Yeah, I think Ready Player One, that's further down the line with the VR. But the metaverse is definitely building, but not full VR.
Could you quickly explain what the metaverse is to people that might not understand that term?
Well, the metaverse is that's like any digital online persona and anything that builds it up, like Decentraland with the virtual land, Axie with its little universe, Light Night with its little universe, any of the games where you spend time and you have assets, like that's metaverse, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is, like right now we've got the PFP NFT hype, right? So pictures for profiles.
Really?
The apes, and I think we're going to see a bit of backlash from that because, like there's a lot of money in there. It's going to get drained out a little bit. But what happens is the stuff that's going to survive is stuff with use case, right? Or stuff with like actual, social value, social capital. Once all the hype has died off, we'll see what actually is still living, right? And those guys will survive because they'll be able to build use case into it, or they'll be able to build up a huge amount of social capital, right? And then we're going to see like lending and borrowing of NFT value, right? And the extension of that will be play to earn on it, right? So I think people are going to have a collection of NFTs and they're going to have like scholars play to earn on that, right? It's like leveraging your capital, right? So not only are you earning returns, you could be borrowing money on it. You can have that NFT that'll earn returns through someone else putting their time capital into it, right? So the whole ecosystem, I could see it like, it's just another like little side project that everybody has. Oh yeah, you trade crypto, bro? I play to earn. I got these scholars playing this game. I got this NFT gaining interest over here, right? Everybody just have a little NFT collection and it'd be different avenues for it, Maybe it's just staking liquidity. Other ones are actually playing games. Other ones are, find pieces of art, gaining interest and like using that to leverage other investments. So, everybody's just going to have a portfolio of NFTs and all the different things eventually, but right now only we see a couple play to earn games and then we see all these crazy JPEGs of avatars. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops.
Speaking of crazy JPEGs, Stefano got a squiggle and an airdrop. So you got it for free.
For the
art blocks?
Yeah, so back in the days, I think it was February that we did the Mega Cube event in Decentraland.
Oh, you got that in the Mega Cube?
Yeah. And so I won the squiggle, and then I sold that before the craziness happened, and I sold that for a quarter of an ETH. And now, if I'm looking at the values of the squiggles, it's like 11 ETH or something like that. So, again, those are like some of the situations where like where are we in the cycle, or like where are we on the avatars market situation. $33,000 for an AI generated lined and change color. Look, I never say that I understand art. I'm far from understanding these type of things. But if you ask me, I don't know, 6 months ago, the same exact thing was worth like $200-300. Now it's worth $33,000. Eventually, people understood that this is like the new Picasso thing, or we are in a massive, enormous FOMO bubble. So it's one of the two, I guess.
I mean, NFTs, especially the art aspect of it, are interesting. I mean, once again, not financial advice, not tax advice, but a big thing on the agenda now, and we're seeing this out of comments in the Philippines. It's happening in the US with the infrastructure bill coming up at the end of September. What is a security? I mean, for me, NFT art, I don't see that being classified as securities. It's a difficult topic, but Stefano, what are your thoughts on NFT art as securities initially?
No, I think is actually pretty straightforward, because in this case we can actually refer to the offline subject, and art is not considered a security.
Yeah.
If you have like an NFT that is a JPEG and so on, that is not a security. We can actually like start talking about like more broader terms, and like, for example, if you're fractionalizing an NFT, are you actually talking about securities in that case? That's a kind of like a more foggy and gray area. Yeah. If you are giving some sort of utility to an NFT, are we talking about a security? Well, that's, again, a different type of thing. But if I'm doing a drawing, I'm taking a picture of that, and I'm putting that on OpenSea, and it is purely an ERC 721 token that carries nothing apart from like looking at the picture, then that is not a security. Because otherwise you will have to define every single piece of art that is in a house as a security. It means that like you're not allowed to buy that if you're not an accredited investor, so you don't buy that from a regulated stock exchange, which is ludicrous because that's not how it works. So, I think that like there is a clear definition right now on that. Will this eventually get into a situation where maybe they're gonna start asking for like KYC and MAL for these type of things because the value is actually going out of hands? Well, then again, this actually seems pretty weird to me, because you can actually like walk on a beach and buy like a paint for like $50 for without having to like show your ID or anything like that. What's the difference here? The value that there is behind. So right now I think that is clear. However, and this is like the fact that like just because something is written black and white right now and it's clear, it doesn't mean that it cannot change. Back in 2017, ICOs and utility tokens were pretty clear matters for a lot of things, because tokens in the past, in the beginning of 2000s, were actually used for utility things, and they're not considered securities. However, we have seen that because there is like retails coming in, a lot of FOMO, and a lot of money going around, that some countries has decided to put special regulation for these specific type of things. So could NFTs, even art NFTs, going into this category? Maybe. I don't think it's really going to happen anytime soon, but maybe it can happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously with Axie Infinity in the Philippines, we're also seeing SLP being used as a currency now. So we've got to stress that this whole space is evolving so fast. People, we're here to educate you and keep you updated to the best of our abilities, but obviously we're never giving you financial advice or tax advice. It's not what we're about. But yeah, there's some complex topics there. So I hope we're covering it in language that you're able to follow. Any thoughts on what has been discussed in the Philippines? The tweet yesterday from Axie, Mr. Gonzo.
Not really. Just pretty standard government stuff. It's the same as China saying, Bitcoin mining is illegal. The government, of course, is going to say you got to pay taxes if you make money. Like, of course. So, I mean, I don't think that's anything new. There's no new regulation. There's no new systems. It's all just a matter of like, Axie is getting a ton of press. It's getting a lot of news. When the government starts noticing, they're going to be like, okay, what are we going to do? So in their arsenal is propaganda. So they're just going to say, hey, here we go. You got to pay your taxes. But that's no different than any other time. And anytime you're in crypto, you have to be aware of that. So I don't think anything has changed. It's just become more awareness, So, it's just part of getting into crypto. What are you going to do with your taxes, security? It's all just part of crypto. I don't think there's anything new there.
Yeah, correct. I mean, look, I spend a lot of time in different forums. One's an Australia specific forum, and yeah, there's loads of chat in there at the moment about how people are doing their crypto taxes. The simple fact is, it is a highly complex situation. It's very similar to, when the internet was rolling out. Technology always moves quicker than the ability of people to regulate. So, here we are with this infrastructure bill next month. How will this technology change? It's always catch up. It always concerns me that maybe some of the better people in the crypto space aren't the ones advising governments. I don't know whether you're comfortable talking about that, but I know Stefano does talk at the highest levels. But yeah, I mean, to me, that is a problem. It was the problem with Bitcoin from when I first got involved. The people that were actually talking to the regulators, no one in the Bitcoin community had even heard of these people. I don't think they actually knew much about it. But are you confident, Stefano, that the right people are in there consulting at the highest levels? Are you seeing that?
No. No.
Who are they?
Well, so here's the situation right now. Unfortunately, it would be easier if there would be a specific line. If I'm telling you like 2 + 2 = 4, and we all three agree on that, and we need to go to someone and say what's the result of 2 + 2, it's an easy conversation. Unfortunately, right now, in the subject of like a regulation, there are so many different ideas and opinions. And take, for example, what happens with the DAO LLC in Wyoming. So we achieved the DAO LLC. Yes, there is now a type of LLC that it's called a DAO LLC. And so from a marketing stand, it's a very important thing, because now Wyoming and the state of Wyoming is obviously playing this as like they have achieved a big result, and they're pro cryptos, and business comes to us and so on. The reason why they're doing that is we need to connect the dots on like why someone does what. And so Wyoming obviously wants to compete with Delaware. Those are the two biggest states in the U.S. for numbers of incorporation. Delaware is a little bit more famous for these type of things. Wyoming not so much. And so Wyoming is trying to innovate by taking the blockchain and the crypto side. So very good on that side. Brand, marketing, awareness, all of these things, super, super good. But if we're actually going at the bones of the matters, the DAO LLC is worse than having an LLC that works as a DAO. By passing the new structure of the DAO LLC, they're basically like asking you to comply with higher requirements than if you would just like create a normal LLC. Which in reality means that like if you want to do a DAO LLC, you're better off just doing an LLC and plug a DAO on Argon or on Colony or whatever it is. So why this is important? Because the people that have consulted there were clearly after the brand and the awareness part, and they achieved that. But is that the important thing? Is that what really there should have been like brought home? Was that like the winning thing that everybody?
What was that? Caitlin Long you're talking about?
Well, no, the Caitlin was one of them, obviously, but the blockchain alliance in Wyoming is done by like kind of a lot of people, to be honest. Caitlin is one of them, but David Pope is another one. There are a lot of people over there that are. It's not one person alone. There are many, many people. And, all these individuals are having meeting regularly, and they're obviously like deciding what is important to go after. They achieved something. Yes, they did. But this thing that they have achieved, does that change anything? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't, to be honest. And so here you're pretty much in the same situation. We have law firms from California, for example, asking us questions all the time, or from Singapore or from New York or from India. We do have a lot of law firms that are asking us information about like DAOs, about like foundations, about like structures for blockchain and stuff like that, apart from like regulators and so on. But those are the people that then go and advise the projects on what they should do. And the problem is that everybody has a different opinion. We got people sometimes that comes to us and it's like, oh, I spoke with 15 lawyers. Everybody has a different opinion. What the heck do I have to do? And you're like, well, unfortunately, this is the situation right now. The reason a guideline or a guidebooks and the regulators are in the same exactly position, they talk with these 15 different people and they end up having everybody a different story. Because at the end of the day, the understanding of the space is different. The values of the space are different as well, which is very important. For me, something that is important for me might not be important for someone else. We're still both in the blockchain. We still want to see the blockchain succeed. But what is important for me, what is a feature that needs to be, regulated, might actually not be the same for someone else. And so we're nowhere near something like that. The governments are trying to put patches and figuring out things as they go, because obviously they're much slower than technology. But Singapore, I think, is a perfect example for this. They have modified their blockchain approach multiple times, and this is very positive, by the way, because they're showing that they're willing to adopt very quickly when new things are coming up. And so that's a positive thing. I think that what the Philippines are doing as a government on approaching and taking that's a little bit broader as a topic, because it goes also on the YouTubers and kind of all the digital economy now type of approach. It gives some problems, but as Jordan was mentioning, it's also a very good thing, to be honest, because it kind of confirmed that now if you're saying that you are a gamer and you're earning a living as a play to earn, the government recognized that as a job. Eventually, because you're paying taxes, this means that that will be actually a job that might actually allow you to get a loan to buy a house. It might be that bridge of the traditional world that might actually be important. Not all the bad news are bad, and not all the good news are only good. But they're trying to figuring out stuff as well. It's tough. To be honest, I don't know how I would react if I would be the person making the decision. I'm lucky that I'm one giving the opinions and presenting all the facts, but it's tough to call it the shot, to be honest.
Yeah, as Bill's commented in here, the epicenter of all of this really does boil down to tax, and I'd agree with that. So, look, taxes are something that we're all obliged to pay. I think you potentially get harsher regulation if governments aren't sort of thinking they're getting their fair piece of the pie, so to speak. So that's all up to everyone to do, to follow the laws of your countries, people. It will make things a lot smoother. It's going to be a rocky ride. We've discussed it before. I ultimately think we're going to end up with two different crypto systems, the ones that are compliant. I see Bitcoin just ending up being, that institutional play. It's already been through the courts, same with Ethereum. So I don't think we've got any surprises on those two. But a lot of the other things happening in the space, that's yet to be decided. I think there will remain a huge part of the crypto community that probably won't give a shit about any regulation. And will do their things. To me, that's exciting. And the fact that you're watching this at this point in the evolution of the space, you're in a great position to understand both sides of that equation and know how to straddle it moving forward and make your own personal decisions on how you want to, in fact, do that. Okay, Stefano, that was very much a masterclass from you. Thanks so much for that information. Might have gone over the head of some people, but really important dialogue from you there, mate. Well done. Mr. Gonzo, what have we got coming up? Now, for those of you that don't know, we do now have a Twitch channel as well. We'll be on there tomorrow. My eggs are hatching. We'll do a live show on Twitch. I know a lot of you are waiting on teams from me. So, look, I hope you do appreciate. You know how long these things take to hatch, and obviously, with the changes in the game, we want to make sure we're getting the right teams out to you all. Congratulations to some of my scholars who, I've never put any pressure on anyone, but some of the earnings weren't great. But I do see that you are reaching out, talking to other members of the community, learning the game better. That's fantastic. And obviously having these Twitch streams now is designed to help educate you as well. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. Especially if you're waiting in a line for a team from me. So I will be putting those together on that show tomorrow. Thoughts, Mr. Gonzo, on what is happening on that front?
Yeah, shout out to the head forkers, man. We put together some teams last week, and a couple of them actually started off really well, and shot up to 1800 MMR right away. We built some good teams. There's more coming, so it's good to see that. If you get a good player on a good team, they can pick it up right away. That's the last 3 weeks. There's been a lot more emphasis on competitive gaming and the tournaments now. The tournaments are starting to come in and they're getting lined up. I've been talking to J-Ho a little bit about, getting some, what's the deal with the tournaments and how they're able to play. Because the thing is we can't even practice because of the functionality. So they have some dedicated servers for tournaments. So we'll start putting a structure together, and we've seeing the top players emerging. So there's the community guild there. If you sign up there, you can be part of the Axie Forkers, which will be a collection of all the scholars. And then depending on the tournaments and how many team members we'll get, we'll start whittling those down and getting guys in there. But it's good to sign up for that website, Community Gaming Guild, because they have all kinds of tournaments and all kinds of different games on there. Even if you're not one of the best Axie players, or even if we enter a community team, there's still individual tournaments that you can enter. So that's kind of the extension of Axie right now. It's building into esports, content creation, all that stuff. So we're doing the same thing in our community. With our top 3-4 scholars, they're all starting to Twitch, which is pretty amazing. We're going to get that organized a bit better and have a bit more of a plan. What days? We have some breeding talks, some market talks, some team building, some coaching. So everything's progressing, everything's evolving, which is kind of cool. That's the Axie update.
Can I just do my I hate we're not, what this channel is all about, people. We're not, we don't hype it, but obviously, the more engagement we do get, it just helps us engage with potential sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. The thing you can do for us is hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Thanks for your support. I mean, we've added a ton of new subscribers over the last month. That is very much thanks to our existing community members. So yeah, really happy with how things are growing. Okay, guys, what else do we want to cover today before we wrap up? Any other news? I don't think there's been a huge amount of new gaming news.
Sean?
Yes.
There's a question in the chat about what do we think of Illuvium, ILV?
Whenever they're going to release something, I would have an opinion. Let's say that.
I mean, that's a classic.
You're basically saying it's a great trailer and excellent marketing at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and the token has a pretty high value also, but
that's crypto marketing. That's nothing to do with video game potential, right? That's the thing. That's a crazy thing right now, right? Before, if you were waiting for a AAA game, right, the company had to have the backing for it and the foundation to build it, right? You just didn't go from like, oh, I'm a startup, I'm going to build a AAA game tomorrow, right? You need to have years and years and years publishing games before that. And you'd build up to it. You'd build up your crew, the technical expertise, the creative license, and all that kind of stuff. But now we're getting these startups promising AAA games. They're doing a token sale first to raise funds. Really good at marketing, but they're not really marketing anything yet, except for, like we said, a trailer. So just be careful. If you're really into it, the best thing to do is just dollar cost average. That's the best way to invest in a project that you have interest in, because you can kind of ride through the waves. And then after a long enough time, you'll start seeing those market hype cycles and realize when your opportunities to sell are and when your opportunities to buy are. And if you're just consistent with it.
So Star Atlas put out a pretty slick trailer today. Have you seen that, guys? What are your thoughts on Star Atlas? I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about them. Just been catching up today. Anything about that project you can tell us?
When I see the game, I will let you know.
Well, they got a trailer.
I'm sure, and they also have like their tokens are also backed. Sorry, the NFTs are also backed by the tokens. So that's kind of like one of the unique approach that they have on things, that like the NFTs, like a portion is actually kept as a reserve, so that like if you want to sell that, there is also like some back value, which is, people are calling that like their genius. Have you ever heard of Engine? Being around for 3 or 4 years at this point, but give me a game, and then we can talk. With no game, we're talking about what? A pre-sale? Then okay, then we don't talk about gaming anymore. We talk about pre-sale, and then we completely change topic, and we go and we totally smash and destroyed every single project out there. Because the matter of the subject is that if we're going back to pre-sales, the 99% of the project are doing the same exact thing. It's an NFT. You buy that. There are different tiers of the NFTs. They have the tokens. You use the NFT to like farm the tokens or whatever it is, and it's a big loop on like giving some utilities to an NFT, which it's just allowed you to upsell your supporting community. Cool story, but
yeah, that's a big one you got to watch out for, right? Like a lot of these projects will claim to sell NFTs, right? But the NFTs aren't actually for gameplay, right? Because there's no game yet. So they label them as collectibles, right? So if the game is actually selling playable NFTs, that's a bit of a better sign, right? Than just collectibles for LPing and stuff like that, right? So just things to watch out for. Take a look at, check it out.
Very, very true. Have you guys been looking at the questions? Is there anything there we should cover before we wrap up? Now's your chance, people. If you got any questions for us, fire away.
Now's your chance to write back every single question that you ask in the past 1 hour and a half, and we totally ignore. Go for it.
We answered a couple. There was a lot of questions about the Filipino Tax Authority. There was people commenting that if you make over a certain amount, you're still not under a certain amount, you're still not taxable.
Is that per month or per year? Because I saw Jesse also mentioned like 250,000, and other people were mentioning 20,000. Is that per month or per year?
I think 20,000 was per month, and then 250,000 per year, which is 24, right?
Oh, so it's 20K Filipino pesos.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Got it.
But Sean, what was that stat about Ronin wallets?
More people in the Philippines have a Ronin wallet than they have credit cards.
Right. How about bank accounts? That would be interesting to see. And like, how do you pay your taxes if you don't have a bank account? I'm just wondering in the Philippines. Like, do you get a bill? Do you get a bill and then you just go to the office and give them all your money? Or how does that work? Because
sorry, while you're talking about this, I'm reading the chat. It's like per year, per month. Yes.
Thank you.
All clear.
I love the comment and the questions I loved was some guy in Australia was like, "This is a fake live stream. It's daytime here in Australia." Yeah. So I hope that clears that up for you, whoever it was in Australia. I'm answering your live question on a fake live stream. There you go. Okay, what do we got from Santiago?
Yeah. How the scholarship system started? You ever heard of that stuff, Otto? I don't know what he's talking about.
YGG, who started the scholarship model and structure. That's YGG.
Oh, I see. Who started it? Or is that what it's called? I don't get it.
Yeah, I think that's the question, at least like from our interpretation.
Who started it? Right.
Well, is how the scholarship system started. I assume like that's what I'm actually reading there, with a little bit of typos, but I think that's what it means. And like, was the system as good as intended as the beginning, or is proclaiming it today? So, yeah, basically, like YGG started that, and they never changed that. To be honest, they evolved that with a lot of stuff. Like in their own Discord now, you have bots for QR code, for auto payouts, and so on. YGG has been the first one of doing this, and has actually been improving the system in terms of the features of like optimizing that, but the core has been the same ever since. Because right now we're still at the beginning of that entire structure, I think. But eventually, I wouldn't be surprised if in 3 to 6 months things are going to be very, very different around that concept of the scholarships. But at the moment, it's still the same.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole enabler of that is the QR code tech, right? And that was developed. It seemed like a back and forth between the community and the team, right? I wasn't around before that, but I mean, that was just an example of, the play to earn developing organically. It wasn't really like, this is what we have to do. We have to do this. We have to do this. And then boom, millions of people, right? Like they knew the play to earn was coming, but they weren't exactly sure of the mechanics and how it works. So it's all just been developing, right? So when people get really worked up about the changing fees, you have to understand that's what's happening. Like this is a developing economy. There is no rule book and there's no, this is the right way, right? Like, oh, tweak this, tweak that. So I don't know. I'm just have some patience, people.
Santiago, you've had some great comments today, mate. He's saying, look, is blockchain tech the base of this evolution that we've been talking about on the show, or is it just another way to invest? Look, what we started off talking about in Chronicles, and one of the big reasons we've liked it, they're really trying to be as decentralized as possible, or at least that's they're setting off absolutely in the right direction. Stefano, to what degree, could you maybe, for someone that doesn't understand that blockchain technology and is in here with these play-to-earn games, is there a lot of bullshit and hype from a lot of these players? Are they?
Yes.
Yeah. So could you explain where a blockchain actually comes into play in these games? How does that, in basic terms, how's that actually working? How are you spotting people that are just completely full of shit coming into the blockchain space with an offering? Does it really need a blockchain? Who's the best and the worst here, in your opinion, on that front?
Look, there was like back in 2017 this meme or this slide on a presentation, and when like there was the FOMO on the ICO, that was like, do you need blockchain? And then there was the chart, and like that was supposed to be like yes or no, like based on the different cases. And the slide was simple like no, you don't need blockchain. Now, obviously, you do need blockchain, because I remember when I was like a few years ago in the US talking with VCs and everything, and it would have been the same thing. Oh, like, yeah, it's very nice what you're doing, but you don't need blockchain. Yeah, very true. You don't need blockchain is a database at the end of the day. You don't need blockchain. You can totally replicate the model of a blockchain with a centralized server. From a technical stand, that's totally possible. Now, where is the difference in all of that? The fact that the entire ecosystem is allowing you to plug into something in a much easier way than having to rebuild that completely. So the simple fact that, like, take for example Diablo 3. Diablo 3, I think, is a perfect example. There was in Diablo 3 an auction mechanics. People were allowed to sell weapons and mechanics in the game for gold, and then they were like selling the gold like on eBay and those type of things. There was an action mechanics that was in place. How do you do that? You obviously do by developing that entire structure in-house, and then if you're Blizzard, you can maybe reuse some of that code for something else. Now, why is blockchain a little bit different? Because that infrastructure is already present. So if you're actually developing something, you do not have to build that piece, like the transaction model, because it's already available. You can just like plug and play into the existing one. And that's, in theory, should help with the adoption later on. The other part, obviously, are all the classic things that you have heard in vast majority of like the games that are being mentioned, with the fact that like it runs on the blockchain, a single company cannot take away the NFT from you, which is not really true, by the way. It's true that they cannot remove the token physically from your wallet. However, if I'm playing a game and I have an asset in the game and the game shut down, I still have my NFT, congratulations, but it's worth nothing at that point because I can't really use that anymore at that point. Which then brings to more and more different type of questions. But look, I think that
maybe tie that into why Ethereum, you're so bullish on it, because that really does boil back down to where you're heading there. If you could just explain that piece. Because
Ethereum allows you all this to basically connect all of these different points. And I'm also tagging on the fact that, like, so there was one, Santiago's mentioned, like, how would the play to earn model, the scholarship model evolve and so on. Imagine that you're having like, a play to earn system where, and it also tagged to the fact that like another people are asking like, is the scholarship model only available on Axie? So we mentioned like a few weeks ago at this point, that the Rev ecosystem has launched Rev Racing, and Rev Racing allows for scholarship model. Now, tag also on what Jordan was mentioning about like renting and lending on NFTs, smart contracts, and all of that. Combine all of these points together is a little bit of a stretch of the conversation, but follow me on this. So you're basically like in a situation where you have your scholarship on Axie. You obviously have like either you as a manager having your Axie, but also you get the earning from your scholar. That is actually an income that you could, in theory, collateralize for something else from a manager's stand. And you could actually put that into a smart contract and generate an yield for something like that. Vice versa, you could actually have something where, like, because you're actually earning a monthly return from the SLP that you're generating as a scholar, that actually, and goes back to like that point of like the taxation in the Philippines and so on, could actually be seen as an income. That could actually give you the option for a loan. Now, forget the offline part of the loan aspects, but imagine that you can collateralize your income as an SLP on Aave, and said that you can actually take out stable coin, for example, or whatever thing it is, for your collateral on the SLP. Now, connect that with what Jordan was saying. Imagine that now you're taking that out with another NFT, that you have a smart contract where you're putting your collateral things and you're taking that out for another NFT. Now, all of a sudden, you're having 2 scholarship models at the price of 1. This connects very well to like what I mentioned in the past videos about like the Aavegotchi and the quick swap ecosystem, where like with one single LP, you're entering 5 different LPs and yield farming at the same time. Ethereum has the ecosystem to do this. There isn't any other blockchain that can do that. From a technical point, sure. You have a smart contract, you can replicate the same thing, everybody's super cool, there is 5,000 Ethereum killers, and everybody's right. Apart from that, the point is that Ethereum right now is the only ecosystem that can actually deliver this, that have that community that has been pushing to actually connect these dots every single week. And so that's why I'm bullish on Ethereum on that side. And that's why everything is going to change and blah, 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 blah.
Play to earn 100x baby margin.
So if you know, obviously Solana's got a lot of NFT action at the moment, games, etc. going there. You know, if you're sort of investing your time there, you know, to what degree will you be able to interoperate with ERC20 on Ethereum? Can you maybe just explain that to people? There's
a couple of questions here,
pros and cons. Or just quickly, if Stefano could cover that.
Well, you are on the side in the same way that like you have ecosystems going on Polygon, you have ecosystems going on the Binance Smart Chain. Like there is going to be like interconnection of chain eventually. Baloo has been mentioning this in many of the videos where it was on, and I think that is correct in what he's saying. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where, you know, I do think that Ethereum will be the settlement layer for kind of everything. It will be like that floor, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be the only possible option. Sharding already explained or already presenting the fact that there is going to be multiple things happening, that you're not going to have one single pillar, but you're going to have multiples on that. Nothing is stopping things like Polygon eventually to, like, you know, become one of the shard. Solana is a little bit different on that side, but like, you know, eventually they can actually have like a bridging mechanisms where they might have a shard and then having their own system on that. So right now is an evolution point. However, pointed out one important thing back in 2017, and I know that I say that all the time, but in 2017, when people were looking at like EOS, at Tron, there was Ethereum, and then there were like the side chain as well, you know. And the storyline was more like on an Ethereum killer. Now they're more like side chains supporting Ethereum, helping Ethereum and all of that stuff. But who is actually using Tron nowadays? Who is actually using EOS nowadays? You know, there is quite a little that is happening over there compared to like what actually is being happening on Ethereum. Now, Solana is pushing a lot on development. Polygon is pushing a lot on development. Binance Smart Chain has been pushing a lot on development. What is going to happen in 2 years? And if you're looking at the time frame on that, we have seen that Ethereum has never stopped developing, while this chain right now has everything to prove. They are starting good, okay, fair enough, but that doesn't mean that the future is going to be like there. That's what everybody's missing in the story, that a lot of people that are supporting side chains are not picking into place. You need the developers. Everybody always say community, 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 adoption, adoption, adoption. No, you need the developers. If you don't build the product, it doesn't matter if you have 1 million people there waiting to do something. You need to give them something to do. That's how you create stickiness. Without stickiness, you're just gonna have like 1 million people that eventually are gonna go to somewhere else.
I think a simple breakdown is you think of it like, traditionally, Bitcoin is your vault, right? You put your store of wealth in there, and Ethereum is becoming the banking system, right? Where this is, money transfer layer, smart contracts enabled. And then if you take every other chain or side chain or other dApp, those are like stores, right? All those stores run on the banking system, right? MasterCard or Visa. But now Ethereum is replacing that network and becoming the bank, right? Decentralized. So you're never going to have just Ethereum, right? There's always going to be other little stores and other little applications that people are going to use, but they're going to take it back into Ethereum for the transfer value and the security. And then, depending on what they do with it, maybe some people go back further storage into Bitcoin, right? Depends on the perspective and where everybody thinks what a good investment is, but you kind of think of it like that as stages of crypto utility, right? And security.
Somebody was mentioning Pulse Chain in here a moment ago. I actually have some tokens on the Pulse Chain, but I'm somewhat at a bit of a loss of what's going on there. Have you got any idea, Mr. Gonza?
I sacrificed. That's it. I'm waiting. Is it out already?
You sacrificed.
I sacrificed.
I hope that doesn't come
I sacrificed to the altar.
Sacrifice.
If someone picks some of the moments, you can hear like Sean saying, "I'm etching my eggs," and then Jordan, "I sacrifice." Like someone should do like a montage of this, like totally out of context.
Oh, look! Speaking of montages, I mean, there's new ones popping up on Twitter all the time from this community. We absolutely love those. Obviously,
Sean,
people that we see putting in the effort are the ones we really want part of this community. And obviously help you out in every way we can. So keep those coming, people. We do love them.
There's a question from Sean, for Sean. BSV, twice the amount of 24-hour transactions in ETH, with transaction fees 1,000 times lower and 98% of the data on Bitcoin network flowing through its chain. What's going on, Sean? BSV.
Oh, look, as you know, I was a Bitcoin-only channel for a very long time. And as part of that, I spent a lot of time and money looking into what was happening in BSV. I was really impressed by what I saw back when I did that. I don't actually hear a lot out of that project these days. So, Sean, I wish you know more than me. I really haven't looked at it for quite a while now. I would have thought if there was a lot happening, I would be hearing about it. But I'll certainly go back and take a look for you there. Sacrifice, Glenn. That's right.
There's a new round of Tether FUD going around.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm concerned on that front. I really am. I'm also totally concerned about Binance. I've been trying to pay somebody today that's part of hard forking. And same problem I had a month ago. Can't get any confirmation emails from them. So I'm very, very wary of both Tether and Binance at the moment.
Stefano, you know the magical crypto friends?
Which one of the men?
Well, there's three, right?
Well, one of them got arrested, didn't he? Fluffy Pony.
Panda, Fluffy Pony, and the lion guy, Samson. But Fluffy got apprehended, didn't he?
Yes.
And then now Whale Panda just announced he's retiring from Twitter, right? And there's all these people posting like, "Oh, here comes regulation, run!" So,
well, it's one of those pattern that here's the only comment that I can have on that. That is like every time that you think this time is gonna be different, it's never gonna be different.
Sean, everybody keeps saying they're having problems joining the Discord. You got to post the permanent link, not the 7-day one, I think, somewhere.
There's the one on which one are you referring to, people? The one on
I don't know. Guy on the
Twitter
YouTube
is the permanent one.
Arvin Reyes on YouTube says having trouble joining the Discord. So, and they've seen it a couple times.
Look, click the one on Twitter there, Arvin, and they should be working. It's been up there for a good long time.
You should update the YouTube one.
Okay. I think often it's I remember discussing this with you, Stefan. I think sometimes it's the browser that people are using that can cause that problem.
Yeah, normally it's the browser, but it could also be that your link has expired or that you've reached like the max number of.
It's a permanent one that I posted there, so it's probably your browser.
There's one other quick little play to earn update, guys, about Gala and Townstar. They've enabled, for the past couple months, you've been able to buy skins for Townstar with Mirandus, which is their next big game coming, right? So now those skins will give you upgrades. So it'll allow you to play to earn more. But I mean, the play to earn right now, as we've talked, is very small because it's only for the top 500 or top 1,000 towns, right? So it's very small. But again, it's another one where it's similar to 9 Chronicles. You see, they've laid the foundation first. Play to earn is a major directive, and now they're expanding upon it. So if you're, you see something that's interesting with it, pick something up, wait a bit, maybe you find a hidden gem. The foundation is there and it looks good. So seeing how they're expanding that stuff, so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the price of Gala has just absolutely taken off recently.
Oh, yeah. Happy notes.
Woo! It was about time also.
Yeah, Charles, I was going to say it was flatlining there while everything else was moving, but yeah, it's certainly popped off in the last week. Do we know why? What was there some major news?
Not that I know, to be honest. I didn't see anything crazy popping up from there.
Probably just because we keep on talking about Gala on this channel. Must be the case.
The bigger games, right? So more stuff coming down the pipe.
Yeah, but like even with that, like I don't know, like I didn't really see anything apart from like the testing that I've done like on Miranda's, and like I don't have any new vote on the node. I'm just like checking now just to make sure. But no, I don't see any major crazy things that would like justify that pump of like what 50%, 60% that we got like in a week or whatever.
It was actually about 90%. It's pulled back a wee bit today, but yeah, it was up around 90% yesterday. Over the week.
No, I'm not sure, but I don't know. Maybe the team has decided to buy back everything and be like, yeah, I'm done. I don't know. I have no idea.
All right, guys, we got to wrap it up very, very shortly here. So, any final questions from the community? Throw them at us now. Any final thoughts, comments, things coming up from either of you guys, Mr. Gonzo?
No, man, just working on the scholarships, building those guys up. We're getting more and more guys climbing the ranks. So lots of adapting. Man, you should see this amazing tool that Pusa has built. It's this, we're developing a scholarship tracker, and I'm seeing my old school life animation. The biggest thing with animation is you have millions and millions of pieces of paper that you got to keep track of, right? So they developed these crazy tracking systems, right? This scene is assigned to this person's working on it. I applied this kind of idea to the tracking of the scholars or the Axies, because there's a lot of like, trading Axies, trying new teams out, right? So Pusa has developed this amazing spreadsheet where we're going to have the scholars going to be able to go in and request the Axie they want, the one they're going to return. It's all going to be nice in the spreadsheet. There's going to eliminate so many time-consuming things. So we're just, building more tools despite our limited technology. And I'm really excited about seeing everybody climb even further because they'll have more access to different Axies and be more adaptable to what's happening with the meta. So that's the big thing that's been happening over here.
Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce this guy's name, but I just see you in all of our chats commenting on all the videos. So very big welcome to the community. I don't even want to attempt to pronounce your name, but Virus Dict ML.
What time on Twitch tomorrow?
You, sir, or madam, welcome to the community. As far as Twitch tomorrow, just go and subscribe to Hard Forking on Twitch. There is a schedule there, but I believe we'll be live there at 12 o'clock. Manila
When's your next
time,
Twitch, Stefano?
12 Singapore.
Huh?
When's your next Twitch?
Tonight at 10:30 p.m.
There you go.
And it
Very
will be
good.
my first standing.
Nice.
You what?
Maybe
It's gonna be my first standing stream. I broke my chair, so
Oh my god!
at
You
least
need
you
to
have
get
an
off the
adjustable.
ass more, quite clearly.
At least you have an adjustable desk, right?
I know, right? At least that one. No,
You do
but
have
I'm
adjustable
I'm
desk.
happy because like is the first day, is the last day, because like I'm packing everything on the weekend. So the new chair arrives next week, and today was the day where I was supposed to throw it away, but it was supposed to last till tonight. Instead of gave up on me yesterday at 2 o'clock in the morning while I was doing the hunting too on Avagotchi, completely cracked down and be like, Pwah. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, listen, thanks so much for your time today, guys. And most importantly, thank you to members of the community that have tuned in. We'll be back. I'll be back here with Mr. Gonzo tomorrow on Twitch, basically putting teams together in real time for you to check out. Jen, welcome to you, new addition to the community as well. I do have a team for you on the way. I know you're eager, given the amount of times you ask me. So yeah, look, thanks very much, Stefano and Mr. Gonzo. Check out Stefano on his Twitch tonight, and we'll see you here tomorrow on the Hard Forking Twitch. Cheers, everyone. Have a wonderful Friday night and great weekend, and hope to see many of you tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye now.